Hi everyone, it's time for Practice Time with Ms. Rhona, a series where I share practice tips and tricks to all of you. So welcome to my practice room. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, my name is Rhona-Mae and I am a registered music teacher in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So today's topic is, I'm still sticking with the technique or technical exercise theme, but we're going to check out some books. So, the Brown Book of Scales. It's chords and arpeggios for piano. It's going to be piano specific since that's my main instrument. I'll put links to all these books down below if you want to check them out. So, it's got all the scales, all the keys, all the major and minor keys. So you've got your parallel motion, your contrary motion, scale separated by a third, scale separated by a tenth. No, not a tenth, double thirds. Double thirds are good. Let's take a look at those. Similar motion or parallel motion, let's just review that. So same direction. Contrary motion. So opposite, scale separated by a third. So starting here and here. And by a sixth. And then double thirds. So those are really good to practice because they show up more often than not in music, in actual music that you learn. Then you've got your triad, solid, and broken, your four-note chord, arpeggios, root, position, and inversions for the tonic and the dominant seventh, diminished seventh for the minor keys. In terms of that, that's laid out quite nicely. There's the chromatic scale fingering in the very back, staccato octaves, legato octaves, some other tips on fingering, especially with the double thirds. What I like about this book is that it's got all the keys, major and minor. It's a good compendium. The solid triads, they only just go ascending, and then they don't go back down again. And then the other thing, and I don't know, this book has been out since 1948. Why don't they put a table of contents? It goes up. It goes around the circle of fifths, but majors and then minors. But seriously, table of contents. That would make life so much easier. So this is a rather contentious book, the Hanon. So some people love it. Some people hate it. The idea is, and there's 20, there's 20 in the main book, and then there's another book with trickier exercises as well. There's different rhythms. What are these exercises like? Well, let me just toss the other camera or switch to the other camera and show you. So this is the first one. It's called perpetual motion. It's the one that's forever etched in my brain. But the pattern is this. And then you're stepping up and repeating the pattern. So there's a whole bunch of other exercises. They're all generally meant to help you work your weaker fingers, or just to get used to to stretch. I'm just going to flip to 8, one that I don't know as well. Just to give you a bit of an idea. So things that I like about the Hanon series, I love how you've got a chart to keep track of different tempo to practice at. Tempi, plural. How to vary your touch, just the recommendation that you should practice these legato, staccato, portato, rotary motion, so circular motion there. You can vary your dynamics. You can vary your rhythms here. It does say in the front, ideally to do this in every single key. So this is where things get kind of awkward. So some of these don't really work comfortably if you have small hands. I know the idea is to kind of stretch them, but I mean, there's also a limit. So it's, and I think therein lies the contention, because there's some people who just, really, really push this book or really, really love this book, and they will practice this to the point of like injury. I think this is probably a good caveat for any technical exercise. Don't practice to the point of injury. We have very, very fine muscles and ligaments here and tendons, so it's very hard or difficult for those to heal well because we use them so regularly. So you want to be mindful of that. There's also junior Hanon. That's what that looks like. It's got some of the exercises, just a little bit of kind of simplified a little bit. It's actually, it does explain, and my other Hanon book does explain, like, this is an exercise to work your fifth finger. Here's your chromatic scales. Now, this one's neat too, because it actually has a section in the back where it's got your 2 octave scales. You've got you're going through your little chord progression here. Chromatic scales. So it's got some fingering there and some different exercises. So you can go chromatic scale and contrary motion. This one's different though, because it's got repeated note scales. So for those of you not familiar, and this is also something that was removed from the RCM syllabus. So yeah, what I like about this is you've got your repeated note scale where you do 3 of each note. So I actually might keep this book out specifically just to really work on this with some students who really insist on using the exact same finger and not understanding why they need to work on that technique. There is a trill exercise here too. So the junior Hanon's got some neat other exercises, and then practicing double thirds legato, some octave exercises, a little bit on the circle of fifths. I actually quite like the junior Hanon book now that I've taken a much closer look at it. Okay, so let's see, what else do we have? Boris Berlin. So he also came up with these essential daily exercises. Okay, so I actually quite like this in terms of the types of exercises that Boris has put in. The only thing that kind of has me kind of going, is there's like 15 exercises a day. I mean, I know technique's important, but a little kid's not going to practice all of these every single day. I really quite like how he has broken this down. So this is definitely something I think I'm going to break out and do with a few of my students as a bit of review. So the working the finger independence. So now this is done in a way where you start with the pinky. I was taught the other way around. There's some relaxation exercises. So I think I'm gonna, definitely bring these in. Some stretching exercises. Some trill exercises, some repeated note exercises too. So what I like is that they're all rather short. So that's like one exercise right there. That's one exercise. And then you just repeat it. As a teacher, I mean, it's very easy for me to assign a couple of these a week. I find it a tough slog to just try to get through all of those in one day. So I know my students will also feel the same way. Okay, in the back, though, after you get through all 20 of these, there's some additional exercises for advanced students, which I have not yet gone through. So for instance, there's this. So you've got that. Oh. What? Okay. I don't think I have. That's not something all students are going to be able to handle. Well, it's a good stretch, but I already find that's very difficult to reach. So I think that's going to have to be done in like small doses, or maybe modified. There's some Czerny studies as well. And Boris, or Mr. Berlin, recommends that you also take a look at some Hanon or Schmitt. Now, he's got 5-finger exercises, so this will be good for beginners and advanced students. There are... I have to work through this book, actually. So these 5-finger exercises should be comfortable in everybody's hands. 213 of those, and then he's got some supplementary exercises for scales and arpeggios. So contrary motion exercises, exercises for equalizing and strengthening the fingers. Oh, let's take a look at those. Okay, so I'm going to pick 56. Haven't looked at 56. I have not gotten this far in this book. Alright. Hang on. Okay, so if we're staying in this position. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh dear Lord. I need to work through this whole book and then get my intermediate and advanced students working on these. Although the beginning ones, I think they should be okay with the beginners. Yeah, that's easy for a little kid. Maybe not that speed, but... Yeah, I mean, that all fits comfortably in the hand. And he says each exercise should be played at least 15 times. I don't know. I mean, 15's okay. Honestly, I don't think a little kid's going to practice that. I think, if anything, maybe starting them off with maybe 5 repetitions and working up to 10. It really depends on the student as well. Ooh, double third exercises. I'm just going to play through 119. So... Ooh, you can hear I was a little uneven there, so I will need to really work on that. At the end, there's some, like I said, there's those supplemental exercises. I'm quite curious about these exercises for equalizing and strengthening the fingers. So let's take a peek at that. So. Okay, so that would have to be done when you're like stretched enough and maybe adjusted for people with slightly smaller hands. These are, they look like something you're going to run into when you play Chopin. No, any of the high level stuff. You also have a couple of pages dedicated to all the major and minor scales and some popular chord progressions. So that's good. Scales in double thirds, so yeah. Scales in double sixths. And then scales with different rhythms. So this is nice because it actually writes out. Now I'm just doing these in C because they're just written out that way, but I mean technically you should be able to... You should be able to do it in all your keys. There's some arpeggio tips. That's kind of neat. It's a pretty thorough book. a nice variety there. I mean, now these don't have it broken down into like what you would need for a specific grade, but that's fine. Now that I've had a chance to look this over again, definitely something I'm going to pull out and use. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, there's this. Okay. I wish RCM released one of these for the 2015 edition. So this has got all the technical requirements from grade 1 up to grade 10. I can see why they didn't, because this was $21.95, and if you sell the books for each grade at $10 a pop, that's what, $100 versus $21.95. So I see the decision there, but I mean, this is the one that I would recommend to my students, because then that would last them all 10 grades for each member of the family. This one, was there a table of contents? Yes, so table of contents, some extra exercises in the back, because back in that syllabus, you even had chromatic scale and octaves. You had tonic arpeggios beginning on the 10th, a really funky arpeggio sequence that I should relearn, to be honest. It's got some really neat things. It is very, very specific to the Royal Conservatory, but I mean, by no means are you limited to only being in RCM and using this book. You can be in the other conservatories or none at all and get some good value. All right, so next up we've got Scale Skills. Scales, Arpeggios, Chords, and Finger Exercises by Keith Snell. So this is a book that I usually, or not usually, but I've used with recreational play students, ones who don't want to do exams. There's a really nice preface, practice suggestions, the achievement record, and a wonderfully laid out table of contents. There's what I like especially are he's got some exercises and some go-to useful handouts pretty much at the end. He goes through I believe it's circle of fifths, but he goes major key and its relative minor. So that's a neat layout that works. He's got the 1 octave and 2 octave layouts or versions for the scales. For minors, he's got natural, harmonic minor, and melodic minor. Triads, he's got just going up 1 octave. Now he's got, I know why he has that repeated there at the top, but for exams you don't repeat that root chord on top. Primary chord progression, so it's nice. He's got the 1 4 1 5 7 progression, so a very commonly done one, and then a 2 octave arpeggio at the end. So it goes through the entire circle of fifths. Is great. So what I like with this and recreational students is that it goes through that chord progression, which for kids who aren't doing exams, just giving them a few solid chord progressions and being able to do them in the different keys, that helps them learn all their pop songs a little bit more quickly. I do try to do that also with my Concan and RCM kids. They are getting it a little bit more because it's being worked into their theory and their technical requirements as well, but not the golden chord progression that's in almost every pop song. Now at the back, he's got a couple of Hanon exercises and some Schmitt exercises. And then, primary chord progressions in 3 different inversions. And what's different here is he's got a major and augmented triad drill. And, oh wait. So just to get the kids or students used to doing those chords. Circle of fifths, nice handout there. So this is, I would say, a really good investment for someone who isn't doing an exam, because once you commit to one of those conservatories, it's just better to get one of their books. Okay, so finally, we've got the Dozen a Day series. So there's a whole schwack of these. There's that many. I've heard some people love these books and some people hate these books, and I'm somewhere in between. What I like about them is it's got technical exercises to be done every day before practicing. What's nice is that they're short and sweet. And I like the names. So she's got like this exercise here, just practicing a 5-note scale. Oh, wait. There we go. And then staccato. Yeah. All these different exercises, doing like ziggy-zaggy patterns, working trills, working jumps, working pedal. I like breaking these out for sight reading exercises, killing two birds with one stone. So they sight read, then I get them to do it again and just like work on that technique. Now that I'm going through these a little bit more, and truth be told, I haven't actually played every single one of these in all of the books, but I have had students work on, I guess, in all the levels. So familiar enough with them. Yeah, like I said, I like that they're quick hits. I like getting the kids the students to sight read them, use them as like supplemental. So if they're struggling on a specific technical part in their pieces, then I can draw upon like a corresponding warm-up and get them to pair that up. Why would some people not like these? I think it's similar to the Hanon, that some of them are just really awkward, and it really comes down to like, the hands and what you physically can do. So, and I think you can say that about every single book too, or every single one of these exercises. So you have to be flexible enough that you can make adjustments. And if you're finding as a student that some of these exercises cause pain, talk to your teacher, because that's not the intent of these. They're supposed to help you get stronger at that technique and strengthen your fingers and fine-tune those muscles. So it's like stretching. You don't want to do it to the point of pain or injury. So none of us want that. And that is that. So there's many more. If I didn't mention a book that you've been using, students and teachers, drop it down below in the comments, and I'd be glad to check it out. And if you have used any of these books, I'd be interested in hearing what your thoughts are, which ones are your favorites, which ones you really don't like at all. So next time, I'll be talking about the metronome. It's a tool that most people have a love-hate relationship, or maybe it's a mostly hate relationship. I don't know. I know growing up, I didn't really like using the metronome, but I think part of it is, I think back in that day, a lot of us were just told, use the metronome, and we weren't really fully shown how to use it to the fullest. So I will hopefully explore a few more ways, more than the way that, just to figure out how fast a piece should go, that there's other ways that you can incorporate that metronome into your practice to make it work for you. But, it's a tool. It's only going to work as well as you listen to it, as you use it. All right, so that is it for today. If this is your first time on the channel, do check out some of the other videos and the other practice time specials. And if you found this helpful, then drop a comment down below, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to find out when there's new content uploaded. If you'd like to support the channel, though, head over to the Ko-fi page. Stay well, and catch you in the next video. Bye!